Hi and welcome to County Connections. I'm Pat Bingham and I do community relations for Pitkin County government. Today our program is about veteran services in Pitkin County. This is one of the many programs that our Human Services Department offers, and maybe one of the more obscure programs that not as many people know about as we'd like to. So I've brought in our Veteran Services Officer, Jeanine Barse, and a really beloved local vet and longtime Aspen resident, Charlie Hopton, to tell us a little bit more about what kinds of things are available to vets. So to kick things off, Janine, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a vet, and how did you come to this position, and what are some of the things that you hope to bring to it?
I was in the military service in the Army for 6 years, and my husband was in the military as well, in the U.S. Army, and my son is also a veteran, Iraqi and Afghanistan. And through my experience with my husband being deployed when I first moved to Snowmass Village, I was fortunate enough to be able to rely a lot on the community of Snowmass, but the connection to veterans was not there. So we joined the Veterans of Foreign Wars post in Grand Junction, and over the past 20+ years, I have been affiliated with them, and I've learned a lot, and I am very proactive in veterans issues.
Well, great, and we're going to talk more about some of the services that are provided through Pitkin County. Charlie, I didn't even know you were a vet until I saw you marching down the street at the 4th of July parade, or maybe I saw you at Veterans Day or Memorial Day at Veterans Park. But how involved are you in veterans programs in the Valley?
Well, you said about not knowing that I was a vet. That is typical. Veterans come back and everything is internalized. You just go back to trying to be a civilian. The Army trained you to be a soldier, but they don't detrain you and make you a civilian again. So I came here right out of the Army, and you move on with your life. So you don't talk about it. The marching in the parade, it's really sort of awkward to talk about. Different wars that we have had, the veterans have had different receptions. I'm a Korean vet. I came back, my license plate says the Forgotten War. It was almost for civilians as if it didn't happen. And same way with the Vietnam vets, they came back and they didn't get the parades and the bands,
Ticker tape.
and the ticker tape and everything. And so you didn't get involved in a thing like the parade. Then as times changed, the current wars that we have, people have started stepping up and supporting the vets. And so vets, me included, start coming out and showing our colors.
And another thing the community is doing is offering veteran services, which is why Jeanine Barse is here today, because it's a service that Pitkin County provides, but tell us about the mandated service that you provide.
Every county is mandated by the state to have a veteran service officer. And depending on the military veteran population in the county, you could have 1 to 2 service officers, or part-time, or maybe a service officer shared between counties. We, at one time, shared a service officer with Garfield County, but because of the distance and so forth, we now have our own, and for the past 2 years.
How many vets are there, do you know, in Pitkin County?
They want to say, statistics show that they believe there are about 650 veterans in Pitkin County. At one point it was up to 900, but now it's gone down. But the transient aspect of Aspen and Snowmass in the Valley, basically you may have fewer vets at one time or many more.
What would a vet come to your office to try to accomplish? What kind of services do you provide?
I provide services that help you find out which benefits you might be eligible for as a veteran. All veterans are eligible for some services, but it depends on your discharge. You have to have something other than a dishonorable discharge to be serviced by the Veterans Administration. So I can get people enrolled in the VA hospitals. I can help them fill out claims for pension or disability. I can help them get online to e-benefits and get education benefits for them. And there's other benefits like VA home loan guarantees and burial benefits.
One of the things that we hear about the most are medical benefits, and the thing that got all the publicity nationwide was how long it was taking for vets to get medical care. Have we found a way locally to overcome that problem? I mean, do people have to go all the way to Grand Junction to get medical care, or can they get it locally?
In some instances, they can get it locally. Part of my job is to facilitate the process and find out where the hang-up is, and if necessary, we'll make arrangements for people to get to Grand Junction for their initial appointments. There's Veterans Choice Program, which mandates that if you're a veteran and you live more than 40 miles away from a medical VA facility, you are allowed to go to a local physician for your health needs. But it depends on whether the physicians are contracted with the pro-choice program.
And Charlie, what's your experience been as a vet and when it comes to medical care? We were talking before this show about how doctors don't have to participate in that, just like they don't have to participate in Medicare, right? Mm-hmm. Locally. Are there doctors that you know of locally that do take vets?
My experience was that, as Janine said, because of the process, doctors don't get involved. Though we do have some local doctors. My organization, Western Slope Veterans Coalition, was formed by local vets who saw a need. At the time, we had a part-time veteran service officer working with Garfield County, hardly ever got up this way. And we saw vets that needed help. They needed help, medical help, housing help, et cetera, and they weren't getting it. So we formed the group to support them. There are several local doctors, which I won't name at the moment, their privacy and the patient's privacy, that have stepped up through our group when vets need emergency help to provide it. The hell with the paperwork, we'll just help. But that's the kind of community we live in.
We have an incredible community. What's it feel like to be a vet here, and why are these programs so important? We already talked about how it wasn't until recent years and some of the more recent wars that vets were feeling like it was okay to even let people know they were vets. What does it feel like for you to live in this community?
I was fortunate. I first came here when I was still in the Army. I was hurt in service. I was at Fitzsimmons Army Hospital in Denver, came up here, and I met locals. And this town is a community. The people welcomed me. So when I got out of the Army, I came here. I had skills from the military. You mentioned the one guy that you knew in the parade that you didn't know that he was a medic in Vietnam.
Yeah.
When we started the Ambulance Association, he stepped forward. He was one of our EMTs. He didn't talk about his military service, but he had that experience that he was willing to give back. Well, that's the kind of town we live in. There are veterans in mountain rescue that have those skills that they can pass on. And so when you come and being a part of mountain rescue, it gave me a chance to unload, unwind, and become part of the community and give back to the community that gave to me.
So let's talk about your experience on mountain rescue. You've been on mountain rescue for a long time, right?
I was one of the founders. Fred Braun, who was our leader, was sort of like a godfather to me. He didn't ask, he told. when we started the Ambulance Association. I wasn't asked to run it, I was told to run it. That was
That
the
sounds
way,
like Fred.
yeah, that was the way things were done in Aspen. So many people here, Dr. O'Dane, Claire Sanderson, those people instilled in the rest of us community service.
Janine, tell me more about some of the things that someone can find, where they can find you, and what kinds of things can they find. First of all, where do you work and when do you work?
I am based out of the Human Services Building in the hospital complex of Aspen Valley Hospital. I'm usually there on Thursdays all day, and then I'm always available for appointments. You can come to me to get enrolled in the VA. I encourage all veterans to, at some point, get enrolled in the VA, because one of the problems that can arise is you're an older vet, you've never been enrolled in the VA, and all of a sudden you realize that you are deathly ill with something that is a condition of your military service. Well, the wheels grind slowly sometimes at the VA, and you want to be able to get assistance before the need is so great that it's an emergency situation. So, and it's very easy to enroll. I can do it. You can go down to the Grand Junction VA facility there and enroll. But there's so many more resources in Pitkin County that veterans can use that they may not be aware of, aside from the Veteran Service Officer. My job is to facilitate filling out the forms correctly and guiding you through the process and helping you get through it more quickly.
And it's not always just a need of services, it's there's a social aspect to what we offer for vets here. The coffee and donuts event, I'd never heard of that before. It's a traditional veterans event that's been around for years and years all over the country, coffee and donuts, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd never heard of it. We are now having coffee and donuts events here. Can you tell me a little bit about what they're about?
Well, we meet at the Pitkin County Library on the fourth Tuesday of the month from noon to 2, and it's just an opportunity for veterans to get together. They network, they discuss things that a civilian may not understand. We do have guest speakers that may come in, and for us, it's an opportunity to just be together socially, have free coffee and donuts, and also to learn what resources are available in the county for veterans and their families.
And Charlie, you've probably participated in some coffee and donuts events, whether they've been in Aspen or down in Garfield County, where what is it called, the Western Slope Coalition?
Western Slope Veterans Coalition.
What kinds of things happen at coffee and donuts events that you've been to?
We started the coffee and donuts as a way to draw out the vets. You asked Janine how many vets there are. The Veterans Administration has a certain number of people who are involved in the system, but there are so many that aren't. And as she said, they come and go. We were looking for a way to get information out to the vets and came up with the idea of the coffee and donuts, which is a social event, but we have lots of informational material there. We bring in guest speakers to tell them about the different programs that are available for vets. If they need assistance in working through the different programs, we and others help them. We work very, very closely with the veteran service officers because, as an example, there will be a veteran who needs help, but you need your military records. How many vets still have a lot of their old records? The veteran service officer can legally help them get their records. There's a form, the DD-214, that is essentially a history of your service, so that if there is a vet who has a health problem, and obviously he was in Vietnam and there was Agent Orange, the record is right there. So we work together that way. But the coffee and donuts has turned into a fantastic thing.
Has
In
it?
Glenwood Springs, we have a great crowd every week. We have it every week in Glenwood Springs. At the CMC in Edwards, they even have, before coffee and donuts, they have yoga for vets. So it's a social thing, but it's also an informational thing. And then we also, with Western Slope Veterans Coalition, we have an emergency fund. The emergency fund is to help vets in dire need while they are going through all of the hassles and the hoops to get their veterans benefits. And there again, we work closely with the veteran service officer to verify that they are a vet. The coffee and donuts are very generously supported by Alpine Bank.
Oh, yes, we have
Yes,
to
yes,
thank Alpine Bank.
they step up and help the vets.
That sounds great. Well, I think it's great. I'm so proud to work for Pitkin County and that we have a Department of Human Services that not only does veteran services, but so many other services for people. Human services, we do. We help people economically. We help people with seniors. And veterans is just one of the many things.
There are so many needs for the veterans. One of the things that I see is employment. Because of all of the talk of PTSD, and everybody that comes back and takes off the uniform doesn't have PTSD, isn't injured physically or mentally, but because of that stigma, it's difficult for a lot of the veterans to get a job, and they have skills to offer.
So Janine, tell us when are you in your office and how can people connect with you?
I'm usually in my office is on Thursdays at the Human Services Building. My direct line is 970-429-6115. I can be reached via email at janine.barth@pitkincounty.com. And also we have on the Pitkin County website, there's a veterans page, and it's
I know what it is. pitkincounty.com/vets. And if you forget all of that, call 920-5200 and Charlotte will transfer you to the Veteran Services office. And Janine will call you back. It's a one-day-a-week thing, but
1 day a month.
Well, I'm sorry,
No. One day a week.
One
for
day a
me.
week.
I was thinking.
One day a week thing. And the messages will be delivered to you, and then you will get back to whoever needs the service.
Exactly.
Anything else we've forgotten to talk about before we sign off?
Well, the coffee and donuts, it is essentially for veterans, but families of veterans are also welcome to come, because there are situations where your spouse is the veteran and you can see a problem, but they don't recognize it or refuse to. So you can also come and get resources and network and get assistance and even just people to talk to.
That's
So,
great. And the coffee and donuts are when again?
Fourth Thursday of the month,
Got it.
12 to 2 at the Pitkin County Library.
Fourth Thursday, 12 to 2, Pitkin County Library. Great. Well, we hope to have reached some vets with this program. If you're not a vet, but you know a vet, please tell them about the program that Pitkin County offers. And I think this coffee and donuts thing sounds great. Maybe
Yeah.
it can evolve to beer and peanuts.
And to contact Western Slope Veterans Coalition, we have been very fortunate. The County of Garfield has offered us office space in Glenwood Springs, which is nice, convenient for all three counties that we work with. And we also are on Facebook, and we're in the process of building a website.
All right. Well, thank you very much for all that information, and thanks for joining us with County Connections. And
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Charles.